What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. It's Devil May Cry 5 day. I'm on my way to go get it. I'm going to be playing it most of today so we can talk about it on the podcast tomorrow night. Let me know if you're also picking up Devil May Cry or maybe something else released this weekend that you're looking forward to. I am curious. As for today, though, we have to go over a couple things. One, we have to talk about EA at E3. Well, they'll kind of be at E3. They won't be holding their normal press conference, which, let's face it, it's probably a good thing after last year and then the year before that, and then the year before that. They don't really have good E3 press conferences. And then I also want to talk to you guys a bit about a game that finished its Kickstarter. I'm still kind of tentative on talking about Kickstarters as they're going on, but this one looks pretty cool, and I just want to keep you guys, keep you guys in mind for this one because it is already done. It's going to be coming to the Switch and the PS4 and Steam, it appears, and it looks like it's kind of a spiritual successor almost to Xenogears. So we're going to talk a bit about that. As always, guys, enjoy these videos. Do hit the like button. It does help out. We're actually going to start today with limited run games. I'm actually going to show you guys a slide here. And yeah, you're seeing that right. It is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. It is getting a limited run with limited run games. And you're going to be able to pick that up for either the Switch, PlayStation 4, or you're seeing that right as well, the Vita. March 15th, 2019, you'll be able to start ordering those, and it looks pretty awesome there. But check this out. It gets better. There will be a limited collector's edition that comes with Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, a retro cartridge sleeve to fit your game case, a retro-style collector's edition box, reversible poster, and then an official soundtrack. That is awesome. This game is great. If you haven't picked it up, it was part of Xbox Live Games with Gold at one point, I believe, pretty recently. And then, of course, it's like $10 anyway. So if you haven't played it, it's worth picking up. And if you don't have it yet, maybe look into this. But most people are buying this probably have already played it. They want that physical copy for their collection. Either way, it's old school Castlevania, and you should look into it. March 15th, though, I think I'm going to pick up at least that Switch copy, maybe that Vita copy, because to be honest, the Vita games are already getting kind of rare, and now we got a limited run games of Bloodstained, so yeah, I'll probably pick it up there too. We also have a bit of an update about Anthem. We talked about Anthem yesterday in the show, where we of course had the level 1 rifle doing more damage than like the Masterworks level 45 stuff that you get at the end of the game and you put together. Well, it looks like they're addressing that. March 12th, there will be an update that's going to fix a lot of bugs, glitches, and just issues that have been brought up. That glitch seems to be one that they centered on and said, yeah, we're going to fix that. They also appear to be at least introducing a way, something that they're going to, I guess, patch out or fix in the game that's going to fix those PlayStation 4 crashes that have been causing PS4s to at least have issues restarting or booting back up, where you got to rebuild the database and clear the cache and everything. They appear to be at least introducing something there to fix. Now, I've said it before, none of these games should release like this. It's a games as a service, so I feel like there's a bit of a cop out there for that, but at least they're fixing it. I mean, the changelog is pretty massive, and you can, of course, check that in the sources below if you want to read through it for yourself, but just know it appears they're fixing that issue with the level 1 rifle being like the strongest in the game, and then the infamous crashing bug. Also, Sekiro is out at the end of this month. People are really looking forward to it because it's from Software, and I'm also looking forward to it. Even though I'm not a big Dark Souls fan, something about this game is just interesting to me, and I want to play it. So I went ahead and I did send a message to Activision and ask them about possibly securing a review copy so that we could actually go over and talk about it on the channel. Despite not doing as many reviews, that one just sticks out to me for some reason. And I got an interesting message back, and I checked around, and SkillUp also talked about it on Twitter. It does appear, at least at this time, that most reviewers on YouTube, for example, or even probably other parts of the press, unless you're a major outlet, isn't going to be seeing early copies of this game ahead of release day. Now, this isn't completely out of the norm for me, as a lot of times I will get games just on release day to check out for things like when we're on the podcast or just on Twitter or even in a video if I end up doing that. But for people who are big like SkillUp or other reviewers, they do rely on games, at least getting them early enough to complete it, draw an opinion, and of course create a video for people on release day. Unfortunately for Sekiro, that does not appear to be the case. And it's going to be interesting because this, of course, is being published by Activision that people are still not 100% with right now. So is this going to be an issue? I don't think so, because it's from Software, and I think Activision is just straight up publishing it and they're hands off. But, I mean, you can't really trust Activision right now, so we'll have to see. I also want to throw one other piece of news in here. The Messenger appears to have been rated for the PlayStation 4, so it looks like it is at least coming there. Of course, it's on the Switch and the PC on Steam right now, and it's an awesome game. If you haven't played it, it is worth looking into. It was like my indie game of the year last year, so it's one you want to check out. And if you mostly play on the PS4, you can look forward to it popping up on there probably soon. Once it gets rated, it's not much longer until it gets announced, and of course it's a digital game, so yeah, it could get announced in a day now and then pop up in like a week or two. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff, and we're going to start with the PlayStation 4 and a new firmware update 6.50, and there was something that popped up in the changelog that was pretty interesting. It's a new feature. You can actually play your PlayStation 4 Remote Play now on your iOS device, so it's not necessary technically to have like a Vita to play Remote Play. You can also play it on your laptop or PC, by the way, but you don't necessarily need your Vita anymore. You can actually use your iPhone or your iPad and actually stream your games from your PlayStation 4 to those devices, and Remote Play does work fairly well at times on the Vita. It also depends on, of course, your Wi-Fi connection and everything. It's gonna be heavily dependent on your connection at the time. But to have it then move to cell phones like that is, it caught some people off guard. It does appear that maybe Sony is looking at that xCloud thing that Microsoft is going to be introducing probably in the next month or two, maybe sooner even, where you'll be playing those games on your phones streamed. Now, I don't know when PlayStation Now will make the jump. I think it will eventually. I think you'll eventually see PlayStation Now on phones and tablets and stuff. You could technically already play it on your PC if you have a controller hooked up to it. You can then do that, but they don't have it seemingly native for the iPhone or anything yet. I'm sure you can use PlayStation controllers in some way with like third-party apps and connecting them and everything, but natively with the app, it doesn't support it yet. Again, I think that will happen eventually, and I do think eventually it will go to Android phones as well, as it appears that their Xperia line is kind of where that is relegated to. You have to have an Xperia phone, I guess, to do Remote Play and everything, so that's a whole thing there, because I don't think their phones sell that well anyway. But this is a big step for Sony, as they're now allowing people to play with their phones through Remote Play that works okay. You know, now again, you're going to be dealing with a touchscreen, and okay, that's not exactly ideal, but still, it's a first step, and I could see it kind of growing from there. Once they announce things like Android, maybe they do PlayStation Now, all of a sudden, you don't need a PlayStation as much as you used to play these games. Now, of course, they don't put their day one releases on something like PlayStation Now, at least not yet. But who knows? Microsoft's already doing it with Game Pass, and maybe Sony, and we've even talked about Nintendo even talking about streaming possibly taking over at some point, and they got to be ready for it. Well, at this point, at least Sony is ready with PlayStation Now, kind of. They need some more work there. They don't have the server infrastructure that Microsoft has. But again, at least now you can try it out on your iOS device. Next up, let's talk about EA at E3. It's probably one of the E3 press conferences we don't really look forward to that much, unless you enjoy seeing kind of the cringe moments of E3. About 50% of those videos that get made after E3 come from EA's press conference, whether it's watching like Command & Conquer being played on cell phones, or just the insane amounts of FIFA and Madden and stuff that we get every year that always looks pretty much like the year before. Yeah, it's not a great press conference. Even last year, we thought Star Wars would have saved it, but it didn't, because all they did was go to this shot in the crowd, and he just said, "Hey, Star Wars, it's Jedi: The Fallen Order next year," and that was kind of it. It's a lot of talking, it's a lot of boring stuff, and most of us know that by now. So it seems like even EA's become self-aware of this after they put out this press release here, an update on their website where they talk about how they're going to be skipping that press conference, and instead they say this year you'll see less talk and more play, which is, yeah, it's probably the way to go, with an event entirely focused on the heartbeat of EA Play, our player communities, and the games they love. So they will have first hands-on with some of our biggest games, exclusive content with some of the most popular creators in the world, and free for all to attend. So this is going to take place the weekend before E3, or I guess the weekend of E3, kind of. It's June 7th. Is when it's going to start. That's Friday night, so then it'll also go through the 8th, 9th, and then, of course, E3 starts, it appears on Tuesday this year, is at least what it says on their websites. I think it's the 11th, so it looks like they're just going to do that beforehand, EA Play and everything, so people can go there try the games out. They're going to have several live streams throughout, and I like this idea. The biggest reason I like this idea is because rather than have one massive live stream where they just jam all of this stuff in there, and we don't care about 80% of it. For example, I want to tune in and see Jedi the Fallen Order and possibly this new Titanfall project. I don't really want to tune in and see the next Madden or the next FIFA or anything else. Seriously, I want to see Jedi the Fallen Order, and I want to see whatever this next Titanfall thing is. It might not even be Titanfall 3 or anything. It might be just a Titanfall spin-off. Or maybe there's Apex Legends stuff you want to see. I'm sure that will be present at E3 as well. And we can just kind of skip all the stuff we don't care about, all the filler. Like if they're like, oh, come check out Command & Conquer on cell phones, I'm going to say, yeah, I'll skip that one, thank you. So I like this, and this is something that I think EA should continue doing. Do stuff there, physically, of course, with people who are in attendance to come by and play the games, and then do live streams of people probably just sitting on couches, like it used to be back in the day on like just straight up G4 even, and they just play games, talk to you about it, and tell you what you can look forward to. So I'm looking forward to at least that, and it's weird because I didn't think I would look forward to it as much because I figured it would be, all right, where's the 5 to 10 minutes that Jedi the Fallen Order is going to fall into, and then can I just kind of sit here and be bored the rest of the time? I'm just going to look for that Jedi Fallen Order live stream and whatever Respawn's doing, and that's about it. Next up, let's talk about Left Alive because, well, it's not doing great. It's technically, Left Alive's technically been Left 4 Dead at this point because, well, it's not the zombie shooter that we all wanted, right? It's not Left 4 Dead, but Left Alive has not been doing, it's not been doing well. It's getting beaten up pretty good by critics. Some people are saying it looks like a 360 game, for example, and the mechanics are poor. Seems like just everything about it is bad, and it makes sense at this point why Square, they probably stopped marketing the thing and even talking about it and just pushed it out the door. Well, good news for everyone who did manage to pick it up as an early adopter. There's free DLC. It's World of Tanks adverts. I'm not kidding. Look, here's a screenshot of it right here. It is free, so thanks Square for that one. Left Alive World of Tanks collaboration. It's going to be World of Tanks icons on the protagonist's backpacks, World of Tanks advertisements on the billboards, and in-game codex entries about the tanks in free-to-play tank game, World of Tanks. Maximum immersion here now. Yeah, so they must need the money back for this, and trust me, I'll admit this. World of Tanks has more money to spend than you would think. As someone who's had advertisements offered for the channel, they have money, so I guess Square was like, wait, tanks? Left Alive? Yeah, we'll take that money, go ahead and throw the advertisements on there. This doesn't in any way add to the game, so alright, I guess. At least it's a download thing I guess you have to do, so if you don't download it, you're good. But why would anyone want World of Tanks stuff in Left Alive? I don't understand. I don't think it's going to make the game any better. Just maybe it helps Square get a little close to break even after all the titles don't sell that are on the store shelves. And our last bit of news, I want to talk to you guys about a Kickstarter project that has concluded. I'm still a little iffy at times on Kickstarter and essentially promoting it at times on the show, right? Talking about it because sometimes they're really cool and they look like they're going to turn out well, but you can't really ever be sure. And this one doesn't even look like it's going to be launching until like 2020 or 2021 when it completes like developments. They still have a ways to go, it seems, but it did finish. So it's done. They reached their goals and they reached some of their stretch goals too. So at this point, it appears to be happening either way, and you can kind of just wait and see what happens when it does come out. But they reached their stretch goal for the Switch and the PlayStation 4. It seemed like they wanted a certain amount for the Switch and then a certain amount for the PS4, which makes sense considering how the Switch seems to really be driving indies right now. Everything with indie games seems to sell best on the Switch, even over Steam at this point. So it makes sense why they would do that. But check this game out. It's called Chained Echoes. It is a 16-bit RPG, and as they say at the top, with mechs and airships. Yeah, so it kind of reminds me when I first looked at it, almost like a 16-bit Xenogears, because of course technically Xenogears was on the PS1, and it was I guess 32-bit at that point, but it reminds me of a 16-bit Xenogears. They have a bunch of key features saying that 20 to 25 hours of playtime, fast-paced turn-based battles, no random encounters, the enemies can be seen running around, which is actually pretty cool to have that. Tons of items can be looted, complex skill and equipment system, customize your own airship, 16-bit Super Nintendo style graphics, and the music is actually inspired by PlayStation RPG. RPGs, tons of stretch goals that they completed. They unfortunately didn't seem to get to things like more airship models and mechs or Spanish localization. However, they may pursue that as things go on according to them. And they'll also have physical copies, it looks like, too, that kind of lean into the Super Nintendo style looks, which is pretty neat. And again, I didn't really want to talk too much about this until it completed, just in the off chance that they don't actually deliver, because again, you never know. But September 2021 appears to be when they're going to try to complete and then deliver this to everybody who did actually, I guess, buy into the Kickstarter. Either way, pretty cool looking project. I'm going to keep an eye on it, and maybe I'll even talk to them to see if they'll end up doing like copies that get sent out early and stuff, and you know, years from now at this point, I guess. But it'll be fun to take a look at. I like the idea of, again, with mechs and basically fantasy-style RPGs. I still like that idea, and I know we, of course, have things like Xenoblade, but more mech games, right, with RPG elements. Front Mission, unfortunately, turned into Left Alive that we just talked about. And other than that, Xenogears, of course, is a game that more people want to see come back and kind of happen, or even if you want something like a Skies of Arcadia, even though it's more pirate stuff. But still, if we have things like these mech-style games with RPG elements, it's pretty cool. And yeah, it looks good. We'll see if it comes out and everything. At least they have, appears to be the funding. Either way, though, Chained Echoes looks pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about, whether it's EA, technically skipping the press conference at E3. I think most people are okay with that, but let me know what you think about that situation down below. What about Sony kind of doing, I guess at this point, remote play on phones and tablets? It's a bit different now than it used to be with Sony, and this is kind of a surprise for a lot of people to see them jump more on board with things like mobile devices now with their PlayStation stuff. Let me know what you guys think about that down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you back here Monday morning for Newswave.